Oonga boonga, oonga boonga, oonga boonga, oonga boonga. Hey everybody, it's this XTCG Kingdom here, bringing you the next deck archetype analysis, and that is Warrock. Warrock is one of the new TCG exclusives that just came out recently, and I hear nothing but people complaining about how this is a beatdown deck and how they don't like it, and how it doesn't work and this is bad. I am here to show you that there actually can be good and it can actually be fun to play. I highly recommend this deck if you like beatdown. I highly recommend this deck if you like old school Yu-Gi-Oh! And I highly recommend the deck if you want to see what it can do. And the only limitation is your imagination and maybe the rocks in the brain. Let's do this with the Warrocks, and let's just go and try to beat some heads and beat some heads and beat some heads, and we'll show you the deck and some archetype stuff to help with the deck. And let's do that. Let's go. Okay, everybody, let's go through the Warrock archetype here. This is going to be a discussion about all the Warrocks and what their effects do, some cool tech you can use for the deck, and some cool deck builds. I don't have a major one built right now, but there are two ways you can build this deck. One is a go second deck, where you're just going to try to OTK your opponent by swarming their field. I feel that's the way the deck is supposed to be made, but I feel that it also is very hard to play through a lot of people's boards. So it's not without having to use big key go second cards, like evenly matched and cards like Dark Ruler No More, or things that might not give you an OTK. So Lightning Storm would be something great for this deck if you're playing go second deck version of it. I think it's better off as a control deck, as a way to stun your opponent into only playing what you want to be playing in your deck, which is Warriors and Earth. That's your primary goal for this deck, is just using just Warriors and Earth, and not going into too many different attributes or different types of monsters. So we're going to start with the big guy here, Warrock Cactus. His effect says, during battle phase in which your Earth Warrior monster battles, quick effect, you can activate this effect. This card can attack directly this turn. Also, all Warrock monsters you currently control gain 200 attack. They all have that option on it where they all have a 200 attack boost until the end of turn on your opponent's next turn. While the card is in your graveyard in your hand or in your graveyard, when your Earth Warrior monster is destroyed by battle, you can special summon this card from the hand or the graveyard, but banish it when it leaves the field. You can only use this effect once per turn. So you don't need to play him at 3. He is great at 2. I would not recommend playing him more than just 2, just because having 2 of these guys in your hand, or any of the other big guys, is a brick. It's not worth having more than just 2 of almost every single one of these guys. Maybe 3 of him, but that's to you if you wanted to increase it by more. With him, he works with any Earth Warrior. Doesn't matter if it's a Warrock or not, which is why some of the tech I'm going to show off is great for the deck. Next one is Warrock Orpus. If you control no monster, or all monsters you control are warriors, you can normal summon this card without tributing. If your Earth Warrior monster battles, after damage calculation, you can send 1 Earth Warrior monster from your deck or graveyard, except him himself. Then all Warrock monsters you can currently control gain 200 attack until the end of your opponent's next turn. And of course, they all have this once per turn effect on it. I like him for putting certain cards to the graveyard. Some of the tech I'm going to show off, I'll show you why you want to use his effect to put that specific card to the deck, but most of the time you're going to be putting your big guy or one of your cards that you don't have right away into the graveyard, so you can use the next card I'm going to show off's effect. So this is Warrock Skylar. Warrock Skylar says, it's getting 100 attack for each monster your opponent controls during a battle phase in which your Earth Warrior monster battles. Quick effect. You can target one level 5 or lower warrior monster in your graveyard, special summon it. Also, all Warrock monsters you currently control gain 200 attack until the end of your opponent's next turn. Also, for the rest of the turn, you cannot attack directly with level 5 or lower monsters. You can only use this effect once per turn. This one lets you revive any actual Earth Warrior in the graveyard. It's great for some of the tech I'm going to show off too, because you can get some more advantage off. It doesn't have to be Warrocks. It really doesn't. One of the best cards in the deck, I think, is called Warrock Fortia. And it reads, if all Earth Warrior monsters after battle damage if an Earth Warrior monster battles after damage calculation, you can add one Warrock card, doesn't matter what it is, from your deck to your hand, except Warrock Fortia. All Warrior or Warrock monsters gain 200 attack until the end of the opponent's next turn. If this card is sent from the monster zone to your graveyard by an opponent's card effect, you can special summon a 1 level 5 or higher Warrock monster from your hand or deck, and it can only be used once per turn. So both the level 4s have one of these effects where you can, if you get it destroyed by opponent's card effects, then they get to special summon out some other bigger Warrock monsters. I think this is supposed to be run at 3 at all times, no matter what people think. Always 3. Great card. Next one is Warrock Cactus. It reads, if all Earth Warrior monsters, if an Earth Warrior monster is normal summoned to your field, you can special summon this card from your hand. If this card is sent from the monster zone to the graveyard by an opponent's card effect, you can special summon out 1 level 5 or higher Warrock monster from your hand or deck. You can also use this effect. You can't only use this effect once per turn. Yes, and this is your big beater that you're going to use a lot of. I still want him at 3. I don't recommend not running him at 3 either. Now, the card I keep going in or out of wanting to use is called Warrock Ordeal. It reads, you can only control one Warrock Ordeal. When this card is activated, place 3 counters on it. When your Warrock monster destroys the opponent's monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, you can remove 1 counter from this card, and if you do, draw a card. If the last counter has been removed from this card, send this card to the graveyard. Basically, it's a draw card for when you fight other monsters. Most of the time, I don't care for this card. I would run it at maybe 1 because I don't want to see too many of it. I'd rather use different draw cards for the deck. And then the key card, the big daddy of the Warrock archetype so far, because there is going to be more Warrocks coming out really soon, and hopefully they'll be talked about maybe by the time this video goes up. But so far, we're not looking so good for telling us what's going on. So, Warrock Mountain. This one reads, when this card is activated, you can add 1 Warrock monster from your deck to your hand. At the start of the battle phase, if you control no monsters, or all monsters you control are warrior monsters, you can special summon 1 Warrock monster from your hand, with a different name than the cards that are on that you currently control. If your warrior monster would be destroyed by battle, you can send this card to the graveyard instead, and you can use 1 Warrock once per turn. This is a great card. I love this card. This is why the deck needs to be playing only warriors as much as you can, and even Earth Warriors help the deck out a lot more with some of the other effects of these monsters. So these are the only cards that are available right now for this archetype. So I'll show you guys some of the things that are recommended to use with the deck. For monsters first, we are going to use things like Gaia the Fierce Knight Origin. What this one can do is the main purpose of this card is to pitch out one of the big guys and then special summon him to the field. While he's in the graveyard, you can actually banish him from the graveyard to reduce a monster's attack that has been changed, either by their effect or by anything else on the field, back to its original attack. So if someone wants to Broadsword you can actually quick effect banish this, put Broadsword back to its normal attack, etc. This is why this one I highly recommend. You'd want to send this one to the graveyard if you don't need to send anything else to the graveyard with Orpus. That's why I was running at least 1-2 of these would be nice to use. My little tech for the deck is called Spiral Super Agent. We all know what it does. If you need an explanation, it's another Earth Warrior monster, and basically you call the card off the top of your opponent's deck, spell, monster, trap. If you get it right, special summon this card and destroy a spell or trap card your opponent controls. If you call it wrong, nothing happens. You just get free knowledge. It's not bad to use if as a small spell and trap card destruction. And it's 1900 beat stick and it's a warrior, and it's an earth. And it's great for some of these effects too. The questionable one that I'm not sure if I want to keep using or not, but I still like it, is called Photon Thrasher. Just a free normal special summon if you want to bring out some level 4s. You don't need any requirements, don't need your opponent doesn't have to have any monsters or anything like that. It's just a monster to get your play started for other XYZs or links or anything you want to do. One that's going to be mainly for Ghost second decks is the Assault Halberd. It's kind of like Cyber Dragon. If your opponent controls a monster, you can just special summon him. But when he does damage to your opponent's life points, you get the special summon or add another heroic challenger from your deck to your hand, which you just grab another one of him or something else if you want to play a bigger engine for the heroics. Another Go second deck option is TG Striker. The other thing, just like Cyber Dragon, special summon him to the field if your opponent controls a monster. You're just mainly using him because he's a level 2 and it's a tuner. And if you want to play some bigger monsters to synchro into, like some of the extra deck monsters I'll show off, you can actually do that. One of the ones I don't have in my extra deck right now is called the Tenny the Draco Master. It's the synchro for the Tenny. And you can use that level 8 too if you wanted to use a monster negate. Some other things to consider if you want to play a warrior build is Fireflint Lady. Just free special summon if you control a warrior. You just bring up some link plays, and then get some free summons off with her own effect, which reads, if you control a warrior monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can send this card from the field to the graveyard, special summon one level 4 or lower warrior monster from your hand, and if you do, your opponent cannot target it with card effects this turn. You can use this effect once per turn. So it's a free special summon of another Warrock monster if you need it. If you're going to play an equipped engine or have some equipment cards in your deck, I would highly recommend using Immortal Phoenix Gearfried. This one here is very situational, but it's something that you could use for a boss monster to out some of the big things out there right now. Only use is if you use a high equipment card based deck, like if you're using a Soleil or any other deck cards in that range. So I'm going to go through some spell and trap card uniqueness to the deck, just specifically for this. I'm not going to go through things like Pot of Desires or Extravagance and stuff like that, just because that stuff is all up to you on how you want to build it for the extra things. These are just going to be stuff that's going to help your deck if you choose to go into certain builds. So, of course, the reinforcements of the army. One of the key cards for all warrior decks. Need it, must play it. Search out a warrior. Can't go wrong. One of the cards I'm having a really fun time playing right now is called Quiet Life. What this one reads is, activate this card at the start of your main phase 1. If you control no monsters, and if any player normal summons a monster, / sets a monster, that player cannot special summon a monster this turn. If any player special summons a monster, that player cannot normal summon. This deck usually special summons on your opponent's turn if they're trying to battle your stuff, or if you're going first. You don't really need to worry about special summoning a whole bunch from the field, from the field from your hand with Warrock Mountain. You can wait till your opponent's turn. But that's if you're going to do a control variant. That one's still being tested, and I still like it. But there are people that only special summon in their deck. So there are people that play around it, and I do still recommend it if you want to play a Floodgate version of the deck. And the last spell card that's rarely recommended for this deck is called Magnum Shield. What this does is equip to a warrior type monster. Apply the effects depending on the battle position it's in. Attack position, it gains attack equal to its defense. Defense position gains defense equal to its attack. Now, I didn't realize this and how good this card was until later on after building a couple versions of the deck. Every single Warrock, their defense and their attack are the same. Every single one. So if you want super huge monsters, just with that one card, you can beat over a Dragoon. Simple. You can beat over anything that's like super hard deal to destroy. Just because 2,000 plus 2,700, oh, that's not many cards are going to be that big. As long as it can be destroyed, of course. Some of the trap cards I would recommend using if you want to experiment a bit with is Battleground Howling. When a warrior monster you control is targeted for an attack or by an opponent's monster effect, target one face-up monster on your opponent's field that they control, inflict damage to your opponent's life points equal to the original attack of the monster, and then of the attack of the monster. Yep, return it to the hand. So it's a good interruption for people that want to use huge monsters, huge effect monsters, and extra deck monsters that are hard to beat out. It won't work on things that won't let you target, but hey, well, it's something that's there for defense at least. And then we have Battleguard Rage. Activate this card by targeting one warrior type monster you control. It gains 1,000 attack. Monsters destroyed by battle by this card are sent returned to the hand instead of going to the graveyard. When that monster leaves the field, destroy this card. This one's meh, but it's something that some people are using right now to mitigate some of the damage on the Warrocks. If you're going to do the Floodgate version, I would recommend these three cards in the Floodgate version: Rivalry of Warlords, Goes and Mash, and Dogmatica Punishment. All great cards to help stop my opponent from playing their deck fully to their capacity, while my deck can go off further and further. You might want to back this up with stuff to help stop destruction on continuous trap cards, because this is something that I've noticed recently, is that there is a lot of destruction out there for spell and trap cards now with Eldritch being played a lot. So I'd recommend having a defense for something to stop these from being destroyed. I would recommend using Solemn Strike, Solemn Warning, anything that would just help you stop that. Some of the hand traps for this deck are recommended right now are Fantastical Dragon Phantasme. Great card for some of the link decks that are out there right now. I don't think I would want this in the main deck right away. I think I'd want this if I'm going playing second. So that would be a good one for going second decks. Another one for going first or second, I would recommend keeping Nibiru in the deck. It's a good defense if you're forced to go second, and it's a good card just to have in case anything happens to your field. I also like how the whole rock hitting the prehistoric age and knocking the Warrock and the Warrocks around is kind of like the motif of the deck, and I think it's really neat. One I'd recommend in the main deck is Ash Blossom. In general, I would just use this no matter what. Going first or second, you all know what it does, and I don't need to explain this too much. One of the side deck cards I'd recommend using is called Artifact Lancia. I would recommend using this in the side, or if you don't want to play the Nibiru in the main, I'd recommend either putting this one or the next card I'm going to show you in the main, just to help stop some of the top decks out there right now. I currently don't know where I'm going to be placing this in my side or if I'm going to put it in my main yet. The one card I would recommend too is Dimension Shifter. It's a great card going first or second when you're trying to block your opponent from doing stuff at the graveyard. I would recommend using this instead of the Nibiru if you want to stop your opponent from going off too hard, especially if you know that they're playing a deck that uses negates for Nibiru. So some extra decks monsters that I would recommend using are Heroic Champion Grandiva. What Grandiva does is once per turn, when a level 4 or lower monster is special summoned to your opponent's side of the field, except during the damage step, you can detach one material from this card and destroy that special summoned monster. This is not once per turn, just so you can know. You can do it more than one time. To out something like Dragoon, Excalibur, what it does is once per turn you can detach 2 XYZ monsters from this, or XYZ material from this card, and its attack becomes double, so it turns into a 4,000 attack monster. You could either crash it into a Dragoon, or you can crash it into a big monster in general, or just have a big 4,000 stick beater on the field. It's good out, and it's also a warrior, so it's a good thing that you can use it with your Warrock Mountain really easily. A little package I like to use in Warrocks is the Zodiac Trident and Zodiac Chakanine. These two just have a little bit of defense if you don't have your floodgates up, if you're doing the floodgate version. It also helps if you're playing Gozen Match, and it's an earth monster there too, and it helps you destroy cards that are on the field. Another one I like to use is Cowboy for game. Gaga Cowboy. Just a great earth monster for putting pressure onto your opponent, and using the Magnum Shield to have a good almost like 4,000 attack monster that can do 800 direct damage to somebody is great. I love it. If you are finding yourself in a very bad spot, right with your opening hands or anything like that, I'd highly recommend using number 41 Baguska to help you slow the game down a little bit. Dark Rebellion Dragon is another one I'm using. Again, this is not if I have the floodgates up for it, I can't use it, but it's a good monster just to take out monsters that have super high attack that are hard to deal with for the deck, because the deck has a hard time dealing with big monsters. Another card I like to use is called Goyal Guardian. I use it with the TG Striker and any level 4 monster. TG Striker helps you make this really easy if you're going second. I highly recommend using that one for your tuner. And then some people like to use Isolde in this deck here. I don't personally like it that much. I don't think it's recommended that you use it unless you're going to be doing a whole combo deck with something else in it. And then another card I like to use is called the Ferocious Flame Swordsman. That's a great link monster just for 2 monsters with different names, and it gets you a free warrior back to the field that gets destroyed. Highly recommend this one too. Well, that's it for the Warrock discussion. I hope that everybody likes the deck that I'm trying to put together, some of the tech ideas. I hope that the Warrocks get a good support for their next coming set, and that we can actually push them to be a better deck than if they are right now, and stop being criticized and being a bad deck. Alright, we'll see you next time. And if you guys liked my video here, like and subscribe. And I do have a Discord now, so let's hear what you have to say. Bye.